After the flood, humanity began to expand and multiply once again. Noah's descendants spread across the land, but they still formed a united community. Everyone spoke the same language, which made communication and cooperation easier. In Genesis 11:1-2, it is written, "The whole earth had one language and the same words." And as people migrated from the east, they found a plain in the land of Shinar and settled there. This vast and fertile valley seemed like the ideal place for the establishment of a new civilization. The choice was not random. Fertile lands and abundant resources promised a prosperous future for those who settled there. The unity among Noah's descendants went beyond language. There was also a strong cultural cohesion and a common goal. They were determined to build a solid society, capable of facing future challenges and leaving a permanent mark on history. As they settled in the valley of Shinar, progress began to show. The inhabitants developed new skills and discovered building techniques previously unknown. They learned how to make bricks and use them as construction material, which marked a significant advancement in terms of technology and architecture. This innovation fueled their ambition to achieve something great, a city and a tower that would reach the heavens. The desire to build this tower was not just an architectural project, it was a statement of humanity's capability and independence. By erecting such a tall structure, Noah's descendants wanted to ensure that their name would be remembered for generations to come. They believed that by uniting their efforts and talents, they could achieve any goal. The tower would serve as a symbol of their unity and greatness, a monument to the collective ambition and collaborative spirit of humanity. However, the true purpose of the tower was not only to leave a legacy, they also wanted to avoid being scattered across the earth. This fear of dispersal and losing their cohesion drove them to invest all their efforts into the construction, hoping that through this monumental work they could ensure their unity. As recounted in Genesis 11:4, "And they said, 'Come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower with its top in the heavens, and let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be dispersed over the face of the whole earth.'" The Tower project also reflected humanity's growing confidence in their own abilities. As the construction progressed, the sound of tools echoed through the valley, and each brick laid represented both material progress and the conviction that, by working together, they could accomplish anything. The construction of the Tower of Shinar became a powerful metaphor for humanity's desire to rise above earthly limitations and take control of their destiny. However, the desire to control their destiny without divine intervention began to have consequences. The linguistic unity, which had initially been the foundation of collaboration and progress, also allowed for growing arrogance. The tower symbolized the pursuit of an autonomy that defied divine will. This relentless quest for human greatness attracted God's attention, who perceived the true intentions of humanity's heart. In the end, as the biblical narrative continues, God decided to intervene. To prevent humanity from becoming so self-sufficient and proud that they forgot their dependence on the divine, he confused their languages, making it impossible for them to communicate with each other. This inability to understand one another resulted in the dispersal of people across the earth, precisely what they had hoped to avoid. Thus, the ambitious project was abandoned, and the Valley of Shinar became forever marked as the place where humanity, for a brief moment, tried to build a monument to their own glory, but ended up fragmented and scattered. It is possible that the builders of the Tower of Babel were also driven by a deep and persistent fear of another flood, something that weighed heavily on their collective imagination after the great flood described in Noah's story. Perhaps they believed that building a tower high enough to reach the heavens would be a way to guarantee the community's safety against another catastrophe of biblical proportions. After all, They lived in a region marked by the unpredictable floods of the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, whose waters often threatened to destroy crops and villages. For these people, the idea of a catastrophic flood was a real and tangible threat, and constructing a monumental structure might have seemed like a way to preserve life in case of an emergency. However, that concern also revealed a fundamental flaw in their faith in God. In Genesis 9:11, God assured humanity that he would never again destroy life on earth through a flood, saying, "Never again will there be a flood to destroy the earth." The construction of a tower to protect themselves from something God had promised not to do again showed disbelief in his word. The builders, it seems, preferred to trust in their own ability to defend themselves rather than in divine promises, revealing a desire for independence and self-sufficiency. Another theory about the motivation behind the Tower of Babel suggests that, besides the fear of another flood, the tower might have had a military defensive function. In ancient Mesopotamia, city-states frequently faced threats of invasions from neighboring tribes or foreign peoples, known for their sudden attacks. Thus, the construction of a tall tower might have served as a strategic watchtower from which the city's inhabitants could spot approaching enemies from afar, and also function as a fortress during times of war. In this context, the tower would not only have symbolic value, but also a practical function, protecting the city from external threats and consolidating the power of local rulers. Nevertheless, the most important point to note is that this great construction directly defied God's instructions. In Genesis 9, God blessed Noah and his sons, telling them, "Be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth." By ordering humanity to disperse, God intended for Noah's descendants to occupy the entire earth, not remain in one place. However, the builders of the Tower of Babel disobeyed this command, preferring to stay united in one place, concentrating their population and power in a single location. This demonstrated a lack of submission to divine will and clear disbelief in God's plans for humanity. The ambition behind the construction was evident. The tower they planned to erect would be the grandest structure of the time, with an impressive architectural design meant to reach the heavens and be visible from great distances. The choice of materials was careful and innovative. Bricks made of clay and baked for added strength replaced natural stones, while bitumen, a sticky and waterproof substance, was used as mortar, ensuring the structure's solidity and durability. This technological advancement allowed the construction to be taller and more robust than anything seen before. The effort to raise the tower was colossal. The entire community was involved in the project, from men and women to children, each playing a crucial role in the construction process. Some made the bricks, others transported them, and others placed them on the growing structure. Cooperation was key to the success of this endeavor, and teamwork drove the construction forward at a rapid pace. The sound of tools echoed through the valley of Shinar, mixed with the voices coordinating activities, creating an atmosphere of great excitement and common purpose. As the tower rose, its shadow stretched across the valley, symbolizing the power and determination of humanity. However, the construction of the tower was not just a demonstration of technical and engineering skill. It represented, above all, the collective will to dominate and understand the world around them. Each new level added to the tower was proof of what humanity could achieve when united, motivated by a desire for greatness and immortality. The ultimate goal seemed to be to transcend earthly limits and create an eternal legacy, an indelible mark of human capability. Considering the historical context of Mesopotamia, many scholars associate the Tower of Babel with ziggurats, structures characteristic of the architecture of the time. These temple towers, formed by stacked platforms, were built in various Mesopotamian cities and dedicated to local deities. If the Tower of Babel had been a ziggurat, this would reinforce its religious and defensive function, while also expressing the builders' ambition to reach the heavens and protect themselves against all threats, whether natural, military, or spiritual. Nevertheless, that excessive ambition and the attempt to challenge the divine order ultimately resulted in the fragmentation of humanity. God, perceiving the arrogance of the builders and their desire to create a self-sufficient and isolated society, intervened decisively. He confused their languages, interrupting their communication and forcing them to scatter across the earth, exactly what they wanted to avoid. The Great Tower, which was meant to be a monument to humanity's unity and power, was left unfinished, becoming a symbol of human limitation in the face of divine will. Stepped constructions, with terraces or ramps leading to a sanctuary at the top, were common in the region of Mesopotamia, serving as places of religious worship. The Tower of Babel, besides symbolizing devotion, also represented a form of resistance. Its builders were determined to avoid being dispersed across the world, and they believed that by creating a grand structure and making a name for themselves, they could preserve their unity and ensure their immortality in history. The tower, whose height was intended to reach the heavens, was an attempt to transcend human limitations, to show that humanity could rise above its earthly constraints and approach the divine. The progress of the construction was closely monitored, and the community leaders continuously motivated the workers, reminding them of the great goal they were trying to achieve. Many believe that the construction was initially led by Nimrod, a man described as charismatic and possessing an exceptional gift for persuasion. According to accounts, he inspired the collective desire to build an ever-taller tower whose top would reach the sky. Nimrod, a descendant of Noah, is mentioned in the Bible as the first great and powerful king of the earth. According to Jewish interpretations and accounts by historians such as Flavius Josephus, it was he who commissioned the construction of the Tower of Babel as an act of defiance against God. However, the Bible does not explicitly mention his role in the tower's construction. Some extra-biblical traditions and rabbinical texts, however, associate Nimrod with the leadership of this project, highlighting his ambition and influence over the people, which led to the decision to build the tower. These traditions are based on the description of Nimrod as a mighty hunter and the founder of several kingdoms, including Babel, as recorded in Genesis 10:8-10. He began to be a mighty one on the earth. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Therefore it is said, like Nimrod, a mighty hunter before the Lord. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, Erech, Akkad, and Calneh in the land of Shinar. According to these interpretations, it was Nimrod's charisma that united the people in the Tower project, with the goal of making a name for themselves and avoiding being scattered across the earth. In addition to Nimrod, another name frequently associated with the Tower of Babel is that of Nebuchadnezzar. However, it is important to note that he was not involved in the tower's construction, at least not during the initial period. Nebuchadnezzar I was a king of Babylon who reigned between 605 and 562 BC, approximately 1,000 years after the events described in the story of the Tower of Babel, which occurred shortly after the flood. The confusion between Nebuchadnezzar and the tower may arise from his association with the city of Babylon, traditionally identified as the location of the Tower of Babel. Nebuchadnezzar is better known for his grand architectural projects in Babylon, including the construction of the famous Hanging Gardens, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, the impressive city walls, and the Temple of Marduk. While these engineering feats were remarkable, they took place long after the construction of the Tower of Babel. As the tower rose higher and higher, it not only impressed the inhabitants of the valley of Shinar, but also attracted the attention of neighboring regions. However, this human ambition also caught divine attention. God, observing the city and the tower that the men were building, saw the growing pride and arrogance that were guiding humanity in this project. In Genesis 11:5-6, we read, "And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of man had built. And the Lord said, Behold, they are one people, and they all have one language, and this is only the beginning of what they will do. And nothing that they propose to do will now be impossible for them." God's reaction to seeing the work of humanity was profound. The unity and collaborative ability demonstrated by humanity, though impressive, also revealed a danger. The excessive ambition that led them to challenge divine plans and attempt to control their own destiny without considering God's will. God recognized that humanity's unity, expressed through a common language and shared purpose, provided people with virtually unlimited potential to achieve anything they desired. However, this realization also brought concerns. He saw that their unchecked ambition and the attempt to build a tower that reached the heavens represented more than just a quest for glory and power. It signified a dangerous departure from the path of humility and divine obedience. In light of this, God decided to intervene to prevent the advancement of the project. He saw that if humanity continued united in this way, nothing would stop them from achieving goals that could even lead to their own destruction or to attempts to usurp the divine role. Divine intervention was therefore necessary to restore order and maintain balance in the world. To do so, he chose to confuse their languages, interrupting communication among the builders. As described in Genesis 11:7-8, "Come, let us go down and confuse their language so that they will not understand each other." Thus the Lord scattered them across the earth, and the construction of the city was abandoned. This moment of language confusion marked a turning point in human history. Until that point, everyone spoke the same language, allowing for clear and efficient communication. However, the sudden introduction of multiple languages created immediate chaos. Workers who once cooperated harmoniously could no longer understand each other. Instructions became incomprehensible, and the coordination necessary to continue the work was completely lost. The ensuing scene was one of disorder and frustration. Those who had once shared a common vision and language now found themselves divided by insurmountable linguistic barriers. Attempts to communicate through gestures or words failed, leading to misunderstandings and widespread confusion. The tower, which had once risen majestically towards the heavens, was left unfinished, a clear symbol of divine intervention. The impact was devastating. Without the ability to understand each other, the workers were forced to abandon their tools and leave bricks half-built. The tower, which represented a bold dream, became an incomplete monument, a testament to human limitation in the face of divine intervention. The unity that once characterized humanity was fractured. Groups that had once been united by the same language and purpose were now scattered, each speaking a new language, unable to cooperate. Forced to spread across the earth, these groups began to migrate to different regions, taking their new languages and emerging cultures with them. This event marked the beginning of the cultural and linguistic diversity that would shape future nations and civilizations. The resulting dispersion was a crucial milestone in human history, giving rise to the multitude of peoples and cultures we know today. The confusion of languages, in addition to halting the tower's construction, carried profound symbolism. By introducing linguistic diversity, God not only interrupted the progress of a bold project, but also marked the beginning of cultural plurality on Earth. This diversity would serve as a constant reminder that no matter how great humanity's achievements may be, there is a fundamental need for humility and respect for the divine role in the world's order. The story of the Tower of Babel serves as a powerful reminder of the limits of human ambition. Unity and cooperation, while valuable, can easily turn into pride and arrogance. The attempt to reach the divine through one's own means, without regard for God's will, is susceptible to intervention. The unfinished tower and the resulting diversity of languages remain lasting testimonies of divine intervention and the lessons learned about the need to acknowledge the limits imposed by the Creator. God's action in confusing the languages and dispersing the people highlights the importance of recognizing our limitations and submitting to divine will. This biblical episode teaches us that the pursuit of personal glory and power can easily lead to ruin, while humility and obedience to God are the true paths to lasting harmony and prosperity. In summary, the story of the Tower of Babel invites us to reflect on how we live in community and in relation to the divine. It promotes coexistence based on respect, humility, and faith.